I want to make a petition to all video games. Stop making the jump button the same button as doing things.
Yes.
Amount of times I've jumped over the edge because I'm trying to go down a fucking ladder or over the chest. I just jump over the chest. I'm like, come on, man.
I was like,
make it a
at
different
the start
button.
of this segment, I was like,
Square or something.
little gameplay mechanics that you think the game did well, and everyone's like, hi guys, welcome to another episode of Game Chat. We are here today to talk about Dragon Age The Veilguard. I'm Kate. Here with me today we have Chris.
Hello.
And Jay.
Hello.
Okay, so I have a little structure. So first off, well, obviously mine and Jake's history with Dragon Age is very complex, obviously. Chris, tell everyone about your history with Dragon Age.
I play all the games to a certain extent.
Don't tell me, tell them.
I've played all the games to a certain extent. I played Dragon Age 1. Absolutely love that game. And the Awakening DLC. Best DLC ever.
Okay.
Well, not ever, actually, no, because the Elden Ring DLC came out now, so that's wrong. But anyway, it's good DLC. So I played that. Love that. That's my favourite Dragon Age. Played Dragon Age 2. It was okay. I enjoyed it, but it's not my favourite. I know it's your two favourites, but it just was not for me.
He could sense the negative.
Just not was. It was okay. Like, I liked some of the characters in it. That was about it.
Mm-hmm.
I played a good amount of Dragon Age Inquisition twice. I got pretty much to the same spot and gave up again, just because I really found that game boring with the way it does its side quests and everything. So I fell off. I tried to play it again before this one and just fell off again. So I was just like, and then I found out I don't really need to play it to really. Nothing carried over really that much. So I was like, you know what? I know the gist because I got you two to tell me the gist. But yeah. That's my Dragon Age history. I haven't read any of the books or anything like that.
We'll keep our one short. It's one of our special interests. We have a whole section of the channel dedicated to Bioware and Dragon Age, so we are deep in the source.
Where did I find out what was it called?
Bioware Bays.
Embarrassingly, years ago, I even edited the wiki once or twice. That's how in deep I am.
I didn't even know that.
I was like, well, actually, if you read the codex.
I didn't know that. You're being judged.
So before we get into the meat of it, I guess, I want to know, going into this game, so before you laid your hands on it, what was your expectations for this game?
Am I first?
If you want to go first.
Go Jake first. I got to think about this.
I thought it would be more of a continuation of Inquisition.
Mm-hmm.
And the story from that, which it was, I guess, but I thought it would do that in a more direct way rather than how it did. And honestly, I didn't even, like, in terms of gameplay and stuff, I didn't know what to expect because each one's been so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I just kind of, my only, like, hope for it really was that it was decent.
Yeah.
And it actually came out.
Yeah, well, there was that. And the Bioware didn't get, like, closed before then. That comes into my expectations, actually, because obviously I've enjoyed the other Dragon Age games. Inquisition I didn't vibe with that much, but everyone else loved it, so yeah. I'm hyped in terms of it being Dragon Age. In terms of it being a new Bioware game, I was like, well, they've had Anthem and they've had Andromeda. So I didn't really have much faith in Bioware after that.
Okay.
Didn't really have much expectations going in.
Okay.
But after we saw the trailers and everything, I was a bit more hyped. I was like, okay, I could get on board with this. This seems more of a action RPG, which is more for me, more of my style. So I was vibing a bit more. So I was a bit more interested. And then obviously, I played it. So
I was absolutely gagged by Baldur's Gate, and I absolutely loved the gameplay of Baldur's Gate. And
Was that surprising to you?
Yeah. I was like, oh. And then I started playing it and like just how jammy and how cheeky you can get, and some like the way you could think, oh, what if I tried this? And then the game would actually let you do it.
Yeah.
To the point where sometimes I sat there, like I paused the game and I was like, I cannot believe I've just got away with this crazy idea I had. But that's a podcast in itself. But so I knew Dragon Age is not going to hit that high of Baldur's Gate overall, because it's a completely different game.
It does have the fortunate like
it's always going
fact
to be
of coming out the year
it's
after
always going to
Baldur's
be
Gate.
compared, but the companions in themselves, their interactions with you as the Tav, top notch. Their interactions with each other, basically non-existent. And I thought Dragon Age is going to do a really good job of showing the companions sort of feeling more like alive and independent, and their interactions
like
with each other.
They're an actual like group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, I'm not going to play it and be like, this is better than Baldur's Gate. But I had certain expectations that I knew I would find aspects of it better than Baldur's Gate. And then we'll follow up with, did it meet your expectations at the end?
Oh, at the end.
At the end.
Okay.
I know you guys kind of went off a little bit, but let's talk about everything, then we'll circle back.
Okay.
So let's start off like pretty. We've already sort of touched on this. So the combat. You played on
Normal.
normal mode.
Just across the board.
Yeah.
Normal, yeah.
I played on Keeper. What did you play on?
I like customized it.
Yeah. When I first loaded in, because I'm not really like, combat in a game's not really like, it's normally like it's here or there for me. So like the main thing I want is the story. So I literally went on the easiest mode because I was like, I want to consume this
That's
story.
how I started, and I was like, it's too easy.
Yeah, I literally like, I didn't even get out of like the prologue that we'd seen like in all the game shows, and I was like, no, things are, because I played as a warrior and things were just dying in like one like throw of my shield, things were just dying, and I was like, I can't play the game like this.
It's an easy mode that actually feels easy.
Yeah, because I'm playing. I've started again. So we've all completed the game here. Like you've completed it again.
Yeah.
I'm at the end of my basically at the end of my second playthrough.
How
I
many
have
hours did it take you the first time?
55 hours and 26 minutes.
60 something, I think. But some of that was probably me like staring at the wall.
See, no, I didn't do that. What I do is I do this with all my games. Don't ask me why I do it, but like, if I like need to pause to say like I need to go and answer the door or whatever, I'll pause, save, and then when I come back, I'll load.
Okay.
So
your clock's the actual time.
Yeah, because then I want to know like exactly how long it took me to complete a game. There's no, so my like 55 hours 26 minutes, that is exact.
That's good. I got to 68 hours. Kind of wish I put an extra hour in now.
Yeah, so I feel like because I play on an easier mode, I feel like I can't fully speak to
The combat.
Because like people are like, oh, the combos are really good and the animations on the combos are really good. I don't know if it's just because I'm super blind. I'm like, what animations? Because like the little triangle comes on the enemy and then there's normally like a big like poof, and then the health bar goes down.
I was at point like, say he's super blind.
Yeah.
I think more blinded by everything fucking going on in the game, to be honest. Because like there is a lot going on the screen at the same time.
Especially like when I was playing as a mage, all of the like orb and dagger combos are obviously like element infused.
Yeah.
So like you're in the thick of it, like hacking at things and throwing orbs about, and there's all these explosions going on, and there's like combos, and you're like, I don't even know. I'm just gonna keep hitting the button.
Did you keep the numbers?
No.
Like, the
No,
damage?
I
'Cause
don't
as soon
know.
as they came up, I was like, yeah, no. There's already too much going on. I want to see the numbers.
I enjoyed my combat as a warrior. I thought, because I was devastated when I found out we couldn't have two-handed
Two-handed swords. Yeah, you had a moment. Didn't
I
you?
was
what?
like, for like 3 days before the game, I was like, how am I supposed to live a long sword in these conditions? And I was so upset about it. And then I got the shield, and it was like, go on, treat yourself, throw the shield. And I threw it, and I was like, and then I became obsessed with
Quick
it.
question: did you ever use the shield to parry?
No, I didn't.
That's what that was like. You know,
I don't believe in blocking or parrying. I will do a little roll.
Yeah.
I'll do a little roll out the way.
I don't understand this.
But,
Parrying's so much better. Get
Yeah.
the counter then.
Yeah, no, it's just hitting it like
Yeah.
it's sorted. But like I did use a lot of the combos because I did think that was going to be something that I was not going to bother with when we were
using their powers.
Yeah,
Mm.
like because I know that was like a big complaint people had about how they couldn't take control of the other party members, and I was like, well, I didn't do that anyway.
Yeah,
I just
That's
played
fair.
me,
Yeah.
and I was seeing all the menus and all the combos, and I was like, but like, I'm enough. Like I can do it.
Mm.
But then like I did sort of get into it, and it was pretty fun. So I did enjoy it, and like when you like, it makes you kind of like change up your party to see what else people can do. So I did actually I enjoyed the combat, but I don't feel like I could be like, oh yeah, like it was great because I'm on easy mode. So
See,
It felt good.
Yeah,
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 it definitely felt.
Yeah.
I think it's the best feeling combat Dragon Age has ever had.
I would agree with that.
Because I feel like
You don't have to just hold
One-
down the attack button. And
one
wait.
feels mindless because you're literally doing that. Two was a bit more hack and slashy, but it was like there wasn't any pizzazz to it. Like it was just hack and slash, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then 3 was just awful combat in my opinion. I don't even know what that felt like. It just felt bad.
Chris is like Inquisition. I'm the biggest hater. I hate the
It's just not good.
I think it's a lot. It's a lot.
But this combat, I feel like there's a lot of potential to it.
Yeah.
But I feel like also you can kind of breeze through it in terms of like it doesn't. Even though I was on normal difficulty, there was moments where the difficulty spiked randomly, like especially when you were fighting the big.
Dragons.
We'll get on to
Oh,
the
you
dragon.
mean like when you're exploring and you're like, oh, what's in this? Oh my god, it's a level 30.
Yeah.
Level 2.
That's
Great.
the only time I really struggled. What I will say is I found when I tend to take like a companion I like and then a companion that combines with that person in terms of the elemental stuff. So I just kind of spammed those specific powers that work together rather than using any of their other powers.
That's
apart
how I
from
can
heal.
tell that you're a combat gamer. I take the person that I was romancing.
And you better
And not even that, it was like whichever zone I was going to,
yeah.
who's from that
No,
zone.
to be fair, like a lot of the times I did take companions depending on the quest
Mm.
and stuff. But like I'll pick one companion that's depending on the quest, and then I'll match that up with someone. But normally that works out to be someone they work well with anyway.
Yeah.
On my second run, I'm playing as a mage, which is something I've never done in any Dragon Age. And the reason I'm playing as I'm a Morn Watch, I'm a mage, and I'm an elf, and I chose that because what inspired me to do the second run was I wanted to see if I made all the opposite decisions, how different the game could get. And obviously there's dialogue specific to all these things, so that's why I'm completely different. And I would say, playing as a warrior, and I know I was on like the one down from you, but like I'd come across like this dragon, and I think it was like level 50, and I was like level 21, and I beat it. Like it took me a long time, like it was long,
Yeah,
but I beat it and I didn't die.
I found
With
that a lot.
being a mage,
Are you weak?
I wouldn't say that I'm weak, but like I can't run up to it and do like massive damage and move away. I feel like when I'm a mage, I have to rely on the people I'm
The
with
other
more.
characters, yeah.
And when I knew, because obviously I'd completed the game, I knew what I was going into. I was thinking, okay, well I better go and change my party
Did
out
you
for
up the
it.
difficulty for your second playthrough?
No, I dropped it
Okay.
down.
Dropped it down there?
Yeah, because I literally just wanted to see.
The difference.
Yeah, I wanted
Okay.
to see like if I made. Basically, I'm playing the game and I make even down to the dialogue I'm picking. I'm going the complete opposite way.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see the repercussions. I want to see what happens. So I'm not too fussed about the combat, but it is. I feel like when I was a warrior, I was in the fight. I was making the difference. Now that I'm a mage, I'm kind of just
You
like
have to take a step back, don't you?
yeah. So
That's why I don't play mage.
yeah.
As I play as a rogue.
Not if you've got the orb.
Not
Do
to
you
be
play like the
pondering
close
at all.
quarters?
I'm a number one orb fan.
Do you play the close quarters
Yeah.
mage? Yeah, let's see. If I chose mage, that's what I would have chose.
I've never liked like rogue gameplay,
Mm.
and I'd say that was more like a rogue mage than a
Yeah.
warrior mage.
See, that's
but it
yeah, I
was
vibe with that.
It was sick.
I played as a rogue. I chose to kind of go for a build of like my general build that I always go for, which is poison dagger build. Well, I think it's necrotic, but same thing. But yeah, I went for that. Quite fun. I feel like it started off a bit basic, got really good about halfway through the game, and then just kind of that was it.
Yeah.
Like I feel
once you like
I would have
unlock
liked
your
a bit more progression
specialization,
with
it
Yeah.
kind of plateaus.
Yeah. However, I did consider at one point just changing completely to an archer because I would like to see how that plays. I did use the bow quite a lot though. To be fair, when I was like low on health, I was just like
My like
come back
second run was an archer, and it's good.
Is it viable as a combat option, or are you getting attacked all the time?
You are kind of getting attacked all the time, but it's like annoying because some of the enemies are like arrow sponges.
If I ever do a second playthrough, I'm doing archer. But yeah, rogue was fun. It's fast. A lot of dodges. A lot of parries with the two blades.
So moving away from combat, but staying sort of in the round. So like little game mechanics. So not necessarily combat mechanics, but something you were just like, that's cool. I really like that.
When you're walking around and you get interrupted by combat, the characters will finish what they're saying after the combat ends.
I have a problem with that.
But it doesn't work if you then go into combat straight away and then they just stop.
Yeah.
Not even that. So I noticed this so many times and it really got on my nerves because I really love that in games in general when they like carry on the conversation after they've done something or combat or whatever. But I found what annoyed me was they can be halfway through the conversation
and they'll start it again.
But then they'll go, "Oh, what were we saying?" Anyway, and then continue it from the beginning, every single exact same way of saying it. I'm just like, this is not how real people talk.
I liked the overall, like, I'm gonna call it like exploration, like free roam, free play, whatever you want to call it. I thought that was it was peak. Like, I really liked all the different maps, how they all have kind of like a gimmick. I think Arlington Forest is probably my favourite for like hunting the chests.
Yeah.
But just like with all the like the puzzles with like moving the lights and all that kind of stuff. And
I hated the moving the lights.
No, I like that kind of stuff.
That feels so like old.
It wasn't
very like 32.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a case of, I know there's a chest here on this map. I walk up to this area, I pick the chest up, I move on. Like, you get there, and there was like, I don't want to say like puzzles, but like you had to kind of think, oh, how am I going to get this chest? It wasn't always just handed to you.
Yeah.
I really liked that. I thought that was one of the strongest points of the game for me personally.
What I did like as well is, say you go off the main path to kind of like go and look for loot or whatever. There's always something there. Just the fact that you went somewhere else.
I like the size of the maps.
Yeah.
Inquisition's maps were far too big and far too empty.
Inquisition felt like an MMO.
Yeah.
I thought.
Whereas this felt like a more natural progression of like the Origins and 2 maps.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known from the get-go. Like, I wouldn't have tried to get all the chests before I'd got all the companions. And I wouldn't have necessarily gone and cleared the whole map at the start, because I feel like the game does a good job of, like, when you go back to do the side quests and the character quests and the faction quests, it takes you nicely through the map.
Yeah, and like new parts will open up.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I could have just waited. I could have just like gone with the flow of the game, and that would have made my pacing a lot nicer, I think. But because I'm one of these, like, I can't miss anything. I didn't know if it was going to lock me out, and it doesn't.
There was only one thing about the exploration that I didn't really like, and it's like, it is super nitpicky of me, to be fair, but like when you're early in the game and you're walking around and there's these areas that are like fenced off because you go there later, I don't feel like that was done well.
There was nothing to there's nothing to
explain why they were.
It was just like, oh, I'm in the middle of the forest or like the city, and there's just a random blue force field here.
I want to make a petition to all video games. Stop making the jump button the same button as doing things.
Yes.
The amount of times I've jumped over the edge because I'm trying to go down a fucking ladder, or over a chest. I just jump over the chest. I'm like, come on, man.
I was like,
make it a different
at the
button.
start of this segment, I was like,
square or something.
Little gameplay mechanics that you think the game did well, and everyone's like,
Garbage. I don't know if there's a section for things that it did
No,
bad.
no.
As well, something I really liked was on the quest journal.
That's it. This is it. Keep that positive.
On the quest journal, for the main quest, if you press one of the shoulder buttons, or I don't know which one, you could skip through the characters and it would summarize their stories.
Oh.
And I thought that was really cool.
I like the little Varric talking segments after you do a mission, but they gave me the most anxiety because it's like you do something, you're like, oh yeah, this is really successful, and then Varric is like,
think about me.
no, it's like Varric is like, oh, they thought they did well, and they thought they were onto like a good thing, but they don't know that they're not, and it's like, oh no,
Little did they know.
that was stressing me out, bro. But that was really good, and I like how when you finish a quest, you get like the little synopsis. So let's talk about the main character, Rook.
Rook. Mm-hmm.
How are we feeling about the character of Rook? Chris, I know you
I
can
know
go
how
first.
you two feel, so I'm going to go first, just to get the positivity out of the way.
Good things to say.
I love Rook. So he's my favourite Dragon Age protagonist so far, because he's just a lad. He's a bit of a joker, you know what I mean? Like for me, because I chose the jokey option at most times.
That was your
Your positive is Annie.
because
But you say the sarcastic option. I took it as jokey option.
no, this is the thing, right? So like, I believe in purple hawk supremacy. That's a big part of why number 2 is my favourite game.
Purple and sarcastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just the dialogue wheel overall is a bit of an illusion for choice for me. So and I don't think the jokey option.
I didn't always pick it.
No,
It's like,
it makes
it's not
you
funny, it's stupid.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I know it's funny, and I know this is gonna at me from what you've just said, but it's funny because it's what I would say.
The one
I don't know what that just said about how you feel about me, but it's
the
so
best
funny.
the one that comes straight to my mind, the one that made me sort of realise this was when you first go to get Emmerich, and I had Balara with me, and she was like, "Oh, we've been corresponding. I'm a big fan of your work," and they're talking about all this intellectual faith studying, and then I chose the middle one, and Rook was like, "I like your cool skull helmet," and it was just like, that's so
That's what I would
it's
say.
so. It felt so cringe to me.
Yeah.
I loved it though.
If you pick the top one, you're like, yeah. If you pick the middle one, you're like, yeah. If you pick the bottom one, you're like, yeah.
But you can't be
But
mean.
there's no options.
Yeah, I get it. Rook was a very scripted character.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Book was more of like a kind of design your own version of Herald than a Inquisition.
I feel like you're not shaping him as you as I feel like other people would play their RPGs.
Yeah.
I do like Rook. I do
I would say
like
Rook is my second favourite.
same above Hawk then Rook.
He's my
But it's
favourite.
more, my issue isn't really with Rook, it's more the lack of choice in the game.
I feel like there's one big choice and that's it.
Yeah.
Which we'll probably get onto.
Yeah. I liked Rook, but I just, like you say, I suppose it comes back to our expectations. You're saying you really enjoyed Rook and you took it as I'm set as playing this character.
I was having a good time. I was I feel like Rook is the type of character that would everyone was really having their issues and stuff around him. He was just trying to cheer them up.
Yeah.
And be a bro to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was just trying to be there for him.
The best thing that they did with Rook was how they did the backstories. And that was I played as a crow on my first one, and then I've been playing as a veil jumper, and the way that the world responds to you does feel different. That's the only thing that has felt different.
How often did you choose there? When it comes up with the lower menu, and they have a specific
all the time. So
every time. Yeah, literally every time. I feel like if you came up with the pirate thing for me, I was like, yeah.
Which felt like a bit of a response to Inquisition, because in Inquisition I can remember people being like, But I'm a Dalish elf. Why are people lecturing me about who the elven gods are? I should just know.
I think though as
because
well.
we haven't said it, I just realised. Which is your pick in terms of you both picked Crow.
Yeah.
I picked the pirate one.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think though, like, there could have been a little bit more to these backstories.
Yeah.
Because, like, so obviously I can't speak for all of them. Like, look, but for the Crow one, for example, sometimes you go like to Teresa and then people are like, "Oh, you're back. Oh yeah, cool. Like, nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Oh, Viago's missed you."
But
He's
only
gonna be happy there.
some characters.
No,
I feel
but
like from my area, Isabella knew who I was. One other person probably knew who I was, and everyone else was like, "Who the fuck is
The
this?"
veil jump one was really interesting because Irilyn was like, "Oh my god, you're back! It's so good to see you." And Stripe was like,
No.
But then, like, later on, I feel like, I think it was like Ilario, he was like talking to me, like, I had no idea what was going on.
"Yeah,
It was like, it's Crow business. Like, yeah, babe, I know, that's why I'm
that's
here.
right."
Yeah, we're-
Like they talk about the city, they're all like, "Oh yeah, like this happens in the city." It's like, I know, I'm from here.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it could have been a little bit more tailored, and I don't think you should have had to explore the map from the place that you were supposed to be
Yeah.
from. I'm not saying the whole map should have been filled out, but like the area where you come from, I think
You should have more local knowledge.
yeah. And just little things that make it feel a bit more.
Yeah,
Well, they're
I
saying
think
that, like,
yes.
we've lived in Birmingham for like 31
That
years,
would've
and
been
I
cool,
walk
though.
into town and I'm like, wow.
It would be cool though if you went to your area and the map was already filled out.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
kind of like just the little things like
I would have liked to have seen as well the little blurb backstory that we got.
in action.
I'd have liked to have seen that as the prologue.
Yeah, agreed.
And then, because they all involve Varric,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then you and Varric go to stop Solas from there.
Yeah.
Because that would have helped the start of the game feel like the start of a game, not the end of a game we didn't get to see.
I think
We
they.
don't really get to see the friendship blossom between them
No.
two, which I feel like would have, with the themes of the game and the way it goes, that would have been very important
Yeah.
to have that,
They should have done
to know that.
what they did with that like podcast thing.
Mm.
They should have done that for the backstories. They could have had
Yeah.
one for each of the backstories. It didn't have to be like narrated by Rook, so no matter like what gender or what
Narrated by
voice. Yeah, like or like from like an outside perspective, just so that we had that rather than it be about these characters. Like
That
they didn't show up
yeah.
in the game. Like they didn't really make that much.
Not
of a
even in the
difference.
codex. I was going to ask
No.
you this, because like, I know you're going to
Oh, don't start me on the codex.
Really? You
Yeah.
haven't read it?
I've read it all.
Oh. I thought they might have like a little scrap of paper.
I could do a whole podcast on
Move on from Rook then. So overall, we're all happy with Rook.
I like them.
Yeah.
It's very me. But you don't get much agency with the character. That's my only thing.
Mm.
You are very much just choosing his style, I guess.
I saw a comment on like a Facebook meme group I'm in, and it was like the general post was basically like saying, like the Inquisitor might have been like bland, but they could make some really like
Yeah.
harsh decisions.
Yeah.
So that kind of gave them a bit more depth or
There's
whatever.
no being a bad guy in this game.
But then this person responded, and they were like, "But Varric chose you to help save the world. He wouldn't have chose
A
you
bad guy.
if you were a bad person."
100%.
And like that made
Yeah.
sense. And as soon as I saw that comment, I was like,
Okay, yeah.
"Yeah, that's valid." Like this person
If you-
changed my
if
perspective.
you're friends with Barrick, you've got to be a decent person.
Yeah.
Because really, the way the Inquisitor is, he's not really friends with Barrick. He's a work colleague.
And even like Hawk, like you can be a Hawk who's a rival with Varric,
Mm.
and it's like he respects you, but he doesn't necessarily like you.
I'll get onto this with companions. I thought that.
Well, segue into the companion characters. So, I actually think these might be the best set of companion. Well,
I agree with that.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like they're all for me,
It's
and
the most well-rounded group.
I think so because there's some that are like less than others, but there's none that I'm like,
Ugh.
I hate this
Yeah.
I
character.
don't hate any.
I don't want to take this character with
Yeah.
me. I don't want to listen to this character. I think some were utilised better than others. I think Hardin was the one for me who personally felt like she did not need to be there.
I think that they're the strongest set of companions, but I do feel like they're also the safest.
Yeah.
I feel like these are the companions that have the most character development.
Yeah.
Like their quests actually develop them as characters
Yeah.
and change as people.
Yeah.
Because I hated Valara at the start, and I grew to love her. I romanced her. No, exactly, but I grew to love her, and to the point where I romanced her at the end. So
I think the companion that stood out for me was Emric. I didn't romance him, so it's not like that. I just think he was the most interesting.
Yeah.
His quests were... I really liked his quests.
Same. Even if his villain did look like she was from Overwatch.
She looks like Dr. Rock from Into the Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doc Ock, yeah. Alright, sorry. God, alright, sorry.
She worked hard for that.
Yeah, I just think, like, I liked his stuff. I think he was a, like, interesting choice being a necromancer. We've never, like, had a necromancer before.
yeah,
He was like an interesting take on a necromancer
His
as well.
strengths of why I think he's a good character, I feel like they missed a trick with some of the other characters. So, Nev, for example. Nev's a private detective. Where?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you're the one doing the work.
No, I think her missions, you could have gone and there could have been... I'm not saying, like, I want it to turn into, like, Batman Arkham.
It should have been.
There should have been...
Led into it.
Where was
Yeah.
Detective Vision? Like,
there should have been more sort of, you know, like, clues to follow. And I know there is, like, in some of the missions, but I feel like it could have been... Because you have to go to a place and basically load into the mission.
Yeah. They could have tailored it a bit more.
Yeah, and same with, like, Lucanus. He's a crow, I'm a crow. We're going on crow business. But we're not.
Go to assassinate
But we're
one
not.
person.
We're not like sneaking about. We're
Yeah.
just like
I did think that. You're a pro, you're an assassin. Where's the fucking snake?
Yeah.
And you know what? It must be bad because Kay would never ask for stuff.
I would rather. If stealth is not up to in the game, I'm not playing it. But like, I just thought these characters, they've all got their own thing going on, and they've all got some. I don't want to say a trope because I don't feel like they're tropey necessarily, but
They're their
like,
own style.
they've got something that makes them unique.
Yeah.
And they should have lent into it more with the gameplay.
Yeah.
Because it would have been a good way to like Emmeric's missions, like, it's not just a let's go back to my house and we'll fight some enemies and I'll tell you some lore and then we'll come back to the lighthouse. It was
It
like
sometimes is that.
no, but like going around like the
graves.
necropolis and like lighting the candles and stuff, like it's not gripping gameplay, but it was something
That was what I was gonna
different.
say.
It was a good way to learn more about the faction as well, and I
Yeah.
feel like some of the factions could have really benefited from that.
That was slightly my issue with Emmeric's storyline. It got really good towards the end. There is a few others that are like that though, but I feel like it was a bit slow to begin with, but ramped up towards the end. Whereas I feel like some of the stories got going a bit earlier than some.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think as well, this was one of my absolute pet peeves. It's not necessarily the character's fault, but I hate those missions. Well, they're not even missions. It's like you're in the lighthouse and it's like, oh, blah 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 wants to talk to you, and you go to their room and they're like, Rook, I'm going back to my hometown later. Fancy meeting up? And then the cutscene ends.
Is that your Nev impression?
That's my next. Rook, I'm going to get some fish in Darktown later. Fancy a chat? And it's like, this could have been an email. Like, the cutscene, they end really weird. They feel weird. I think
For me, a better way for him to do that would be like,
table. I think
even if like
they
they
all
wanted
should
to
come
show
to
it,
table.
it could have been like, oh, Rook, I'm going to Ducktown later to get some fish. Do you want to go? Yes.
Let's go now.
And
Cutscene.
it loads you
Yeah, 100%.
as a cutscene. You make your little dialogue choices, and it loads you
And then
back.
it goes-
There's no, you have to manually go there.
That
and
was,
really slow
that
it
was
down.
what I thought. That was because I'm as I was playing, I was making notes,
Yeah.
and that was what I put originally. But then, do you know what I think? Playing it the second time, you tend to trigger them kind of interactions in the start of everyone's next companion quest at the same time.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you do like a giant mission and all these quests are going to trigger, there should be an option to go to the table. Everyone should gather at the table, because I do think when you get those dialogue with all the Veilguard at the
Yeah,
table,
it's good.
that's where the characters shine the most. And I think like they all could have gone, well, I think I should go home and do this because XYZ, this will help us in the overall fight against the elven gods. They could have all had a discussion about it. We could have got all the missions at once. We don't need this whole walk to someone's room, meet me in 10 minutes, walk out. Like,
Yeah, do you know what I find weird about that whole situation as well? I know it's a gameplay thing, but when you're going to meet them for that thing, you take someone else with you.
yeah,
Where are they going? Are they just waiting around the corner?
that was one of my main criticisms. That was the only sort of criticism I had about the open world bit, was like, I'm going to find some chests, I'm going to do some side missions. Say I'm going to Arlefin Forest, I'll take Balara.
Yeah.
You get to like
Yeah.
Irilin and Strife, and it's just you standing there, and they're like, oh no, Victoria, kidnap, veil jumpers. And then like Balara's like not in shot,
Yeah.
and then A will either say nothing about her friends getting murdered, or B, from like off camera, be like, oh no, Rook, we've got to help. And it's just like,
Yeah.
put them in they're from the faction, they know the
Have them
area,
be more
they're
involved.
part of the world, put them in the cutscene. I
Yeah.
thought that was like one of the laziest things I saw in the game, and then once I noticed it, it boiled my blood. Like, that's just like, it could never be Dragon Age 2 because every single person would have an opinion, wouldn't they?
Something else that I didn't really like about like how the dialogues and stuff were handled with not necessarily the companions but the NPCs is the fact that there wasn't any.
Yeah, I get you.
So like in previous games and in most RPGs, you have NPCs that are important to the story for whatever reason. In this case, it's the factions, and you'll be able to open dialogue with them, and one, choose options to learn more about them
Yeah.
and their deal, and two, you it would be like a dialogue as a mechanic. Whereas in this, you just have to like awkwardly loiter next to somebody.
Yeah, to hear them having a little
And then they're
conversation.
like, "Oh, Rook, you're here. Let's blurt out this one line of dialogue."
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll reply. 9 times out of 10, you don't. And then you just
Yeah.
walk away.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what?
I didn't even notice that mechanic was gone until you said it.
Yeah.
I remember messaging you at the start, and I was like, I feel like I'm like 20 hours into this game and no one wants to talk to me.
Yeah.
And then like when I kind of, but that again, that was my own pacing because I was hunting the chests, and then obviously when you do the big main missions, it all kicks in. But like in Inquisition, like you could go up to like Cullen and be like, what was it like being a Templar? And like
Yeah, you have the option to learn more about
yeah,
the world.
you could just go up to everyone and sort of ask about like where they came from, like what their deal was.
I feel like you get that, but in written form in the Codex.
I
Which-
absolutely have no time to read the code.
Which-
No, you hit Jake
like-
last time, but I don't.
I've heard people defend it and be like, "Oh yeah, but like your friends, you don't like press your friends about like details like that." But like
Yes, we do.
you just do though. Like
100% we do.
You absolutely know more about your friend's life.
for someone like you, I probably wouldn't because I've known you for so long. But if there's something worth knowing, I probably know it. But like for someone like say Jack, who I've only known for like 2
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
if he's talking about some like deep football reference, I'll be like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
explain more about that
About the ball.
because it's my friends don't want to know. Like, and
they-
Rook doesn't have that with
You
anybody.
can't even use the excuse. I'm not saying I've seen anyone using it, but like a common theme in Bioware games is always like people will be like, yeah, but you're saving the world, you don't have time
Yeah.
to mess about.
Not when
And
you're
it's
fucking
like-
going for coffee.
Well, this is what I was like, we don't have time to mess about, but then it's like, oh, we should go and get fish on Docktown, we
Yeah.
should go and
And
let
those
Sarge
those
with the
places
truffle.
would be really good. Would have been good places for them to put more of that like
Yeah.
investigate
Yeah.
option in. And I feel like for a game that is so clearly meant to be a soft reboot,
Yeah.
Understandable.
it doesn't give
Yeah.
new players an option to learn anything about the world unless they're prepared to read.
Which
Codex
most
centuries,
players are.
which
I
most
would,
people
I would argue that most players are not.
I
Gonna
have
read that code.
I don't think this is a soft reboot. I think this is
A
the
hard
end.
reboot.
I think this game was supposed to close off the Dragon Age games we already have.
Yeah.
just in case they don't get to make another one.
I'm not. Maybe
I mean,
I don't even think it's for that reason.
No,
I think it's that it got, with all the choices you could make in the old games, it got
Get to
too
that
bloated
end.
and it got
Yeah.
too like hard for them to implement those choices
Yeah.
in a meaningful
Especially
way.
when the people who were there when those games were
Yeah.
made and those choices were done
Have either left or been laid
are
up.
gone.
Yeah.
I think this was meant to sort of
Gives the kind of
close all the doors, give the people who have been playing from the start some form of ending, and then when the next one comes out, and obviously we'll talk about that a little bit later because there's a secret ending, it's going to be so far removed from everything that's happened, it's not even going to matter
no.
if you've played the others.
Yeah. Well, this one don't, to be fair.
Well,
Like,
no,
No.
but like, so let's talk about some other characters. So,
Yeah, we've got the companions, then we kind of
Yeah.
went off on a tangent.
so Nev, let's go through. So let's go in the order we get them. So Hardin
I like
is already
yeah,
good.
I liked her.
I like
She's
her
wholesome.
character. I like her design. I think because she has the freckles,
Yeah.
she just looks like one
Visually
of the most
distinct.
visually interesting, like just one of the like best designed characters. I think her story was the one for me that felt the least relevant because it's so far removed from everything that's happening. Like, it didn't really. Everyone's whole jam is like, I'm gonna do this so that in the end of the game, I'm a better person. I'm better equipped. I'm ready for the
And
fight.
she is better equipped at the end, to be honest.
Wow, she died for me. So I feel like we went through all this to get the stone sense to make her whatever she felt like she needed to be, and then 50-50 she's dead. So where's that story leading? Probably nowhere.
Yeah.
After I saw like she just died, it felt
Not always.
no, but like
Although,
it's that thing like
did
We never
you see
actually said
a
we were
body?
going into spoilers.
we didn't see a body.
Because
I
did you
didn't
do the
think
thing
that-
where you go into a room after and you're like, Hardin, if there's any possible way that you're out there, I'll find you a trouble. And I'm like, why would I put that in? And also, there's a dialogue with Emmerich if you make him into. We can say spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Now we can. She just
Okay.
said
Do you know what- I didn't realise about 24 minutes in.
fine.
I didn't take the start. It's going to be
This
spoiled.
will now be a spoiler cast.
I will do like a voiceover
I
at the
didn't
start.
do it.
Spoilers.
It's fine. Make it a spoiler
So,
cast.
like,
It's all good.
when you make Emmerich a lich, there's a dialogue between him and Hardin that's really fucking cute. And it's like, oh, like, Hardin, now that you're like, you got all these mad stone powers, you're probably just gonna live forever.
Oh.
And she was like, does that mean we can be friends forever? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if they wanted to bring her back,
They
they could do what they did with Leliana.
Leliana.
And be like, oh, she somehow scared
Somehow.
Hardin just returned.
Leliana returned.
Uh,
Fair enough.
I liked her story. I
I
thought,
really enjoyed it, yeah.
like,
It's
I'm
interesting.
not going to lie, in the past games, I did not really care about the dwarf lore at all. Like, they were the least interesting part of the games for me. Marginally because I'm still traumatized by having to go to the deep roads. Yeah.
Did you enjoy going back?
Do you know what I did? I thought it was very well done in this game. But I was like, she was the one where I was like, I want to find out what happens next.
Mm.
Because it was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, that's not how I thought that was going to go. Sure. So, like, I found her quite interesting, but also, like, I hardly took her anywhere because.
Yeah, same. I never
See,
took part.
Just in general with the companions, I took pretty much, like, I didn't have a specific, like, I know, Kate, you took Lucanus and someone with you everywhere. Did you do that?
Yeah.
See, I was mixing and matching all the time. Just
But I feel
depending on how
like because
felt with
Harding
quests and
didn't
stuff.
really have, like, an area.
Yeah. That was the route, yeah.
But I took her when it was like, because I felt with characters I felt she got on with.
Mm.
I'm not going to take her out of Lucanus.
I took her when it was like, go meet the Inquisitor, and I'm like, I'll take Harding, but
Yeah.
nothing really.
Yeah, but because they don't get to come inside
Yeah.
the pub to meet the
They
Inquisitor.
gotta wait outside.
Like whenever you do anything with one
So
person.
forgot already.
Yeah. So like Nev, we've already touched on Nev.
But Harding I love.
her,
Yeah.
her whole vibe. Interesting. I think Nev was the character that sounded super, super interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that well put into action. I actually do really like Nev.
I enjoyed Nev's story more when I saved Minrathus.
No, because I and it's still my least favourite
Well,
story.
it's more boring if you think.
God.
I like, she's like my bro, and I like that she's the mum friend for everyone.
Yeah, her and
Yeah,
Laura.
Yeah.
I really like their relationship.
Yeah. I like how she looks after all the people, because she seems like, other than Emmerich, obviously she's like the more experienced.
On my
one
like
out of
second
them.
playthrough, I let Nev get. I like let her do the ward, so she got taken.
Oh yeah, that happens.
And then I went to speak to Blara, and she's like, "Please help Nev. She's not making this
yeah,
doing." I was
yeah. I know. Yeah, but Nev, in terms of Nev, the reason why she was so disappointing for me is because, like, in all the trailers and everything we looked at, she just seemed so cool. That show, the podcast thing they did,
Yeah.
she was really cool in that. And then her story was just kind of meh. Like, the missions were just a bit.
And what's the deal with the
boring.
wisps?
Yeah,
the wisps are
literally,
just
what
there.
happened?
There's a Luke Carnage thing I'll tell you about later with the wisps. But,
Okay.
but
Is it like a?
it might.
Is
It
it an
is.
NSFW?
It is, but I'm not saying the podcast because it is part of it. But I found her quest just really. I didn't care.
Chris has been reading wisp fan fiction.
I did not care
Like
about
Laura.
like the Venatori, worst enemy in the game. To be honest, like they're just boring. Like I did not like them as enemies.
They're like comically bad.
Yeah, her fighting them, I was like, I am not interested in this. I do not care about your wizards. Like,
Just what creepy.
It's like, for me, the Venatori felt like they were gonna do a game about stopping Solas, and then decided to pivot to the other two gods, and then they were like, "Oh, those gods need followers. We'll just bring in the cultists from Inquisition
Yeah.
that track." Okay,
cultists
Like-
love gods.
it doesn't feel like there was any thought put into the Venatori. They're just
They're just guys
there
in
because
red
they
hoods.
needed bad guys,
Just guys in red
and the same with all of the villains in the game.
up to a point. I like the gods, but we'll get on to
The
it.
two gods are good, but like all the like villain factions are just
They're just factions that were
Badly written.
that are very easily swayed by power.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. Like that. Every single motive is that. But
So Balara's the next.
Stellara, yeah.
I think Balara is the character who is the best. Like, do the voice actors mocap and stuff?
yeah.
Like, I think they have got the best voice actor, mocap,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's an absolute
The way-
travesty that they're not nominated for the Game
The
Awards.
way that she speaks and how she like stutters, she speaks really fast, she mumbles, she like info dumps. To listen to her speak, I don't know what this says about all of us, but like, it's the one that sounded the most real
Yeah.
and the most natural to me. Like
Yeah.
she to me sounds like
A person,
I'm
not a
actually
character.
I'm actually listening to a real person speak.
And then that scene at the end of her brother, when her brother dies, yeah, like that. She deserves some sort of award for that because that was powerful. I was crying watching
She's
that
she's
scene.
a really wholesome character, and she's like a lot of the others. I guess it's like due to age. Like she seems quite young.
She takes like
She's not very jaded.
Yeah.
So she's like all this bad stuff happening, and
she
yet
takes
she's still
it badly.
Yeah.
and she's trying to
Yeah.
like, be positive.
It's like at the start when you're like, so like your gods are like laying waste to the countryside, and they're just horrible, horrible people. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
guess about stopping them.
Yeah. I Balara is one of the standout characters to me,
Yeah.
especially in like performance.
She
There
definitely
was
has that
one
point.
thing that I didn't like about Balara.
Is it that you
I mean, she's
praise her?
annoying at the start.
Well, there were two things that I didn't like about it. One, that my trophy glitched, and I had to play the whole game again. The second part is her, and this is going to make me sound like super autistic, but her musical motifs as like a classically trained musician, I did not like that.
yeah. When she's playing the thing, and when you go,
No, like her like theme tune
oh,
for me did not fit the game at all.
characters have
It
fun.
was very like twinkly Hogwarts Legacy, like modern magic vibe than fantasy. And it was too like, I get what they were going for. It was like airy and like light, like these,
she's happy and like yeah.
but it didn't fit the setting. And it just every scene where her little like twinkly motif played just infuriated me.
I'm a
You have to
I'm
talk about
gonna
music
drop a
later.
confession.
'Cause I have a point.
I'm gonna drop a
to say. You turn
confession.
the music down.
I do not listen to the music because I just listen to my Google. So like Megan Thee Stallion. I was playing Megan Thee Stallion, Sleep Token, Hoja.
Feel like his foot was on the floor dying, like, whap! I'm so sorry. 7 days a week.
That hurts my soul. They got hands in over this game, Katie.
They shouldn't have.
Well, I got
No,
Megan Thee
because you didn't
Stallion.
do much. This music in this game was awful.
So obviously, I romance Lucanus because
I
Look
really
at him,
liked
like-
Lucanus.
Was you planning on romancing Lucanus, both of you, before?
As soon as we saw the trailer.
wait, you made us do that reaction video, and he turned around
Me, Katie, and Nathan
and
was
was
like,
like gagged.
But was that backed up by his personality and the character, or was it just a look thing?
Okay.
Not that I'm calling you out or anything. I'm just like, because I was dead set on romancing Nev after seeing her and all that in the trailers, but then obviously that changed when I got to know the character and I decided to go for Blar.
look, I am a sucker for a Mediterranean accent.
He
Jake wants to fuck bus putting boots.
I really liked his character.
Mhm.
He was very funny, and I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that. He's one of the funniest characters.
He does come out with some one-liners.
Him and Tosh, their banter
Yeah.
is my favourite banter in the game.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I really like those two together. There's a lot of controversy surrounding Lucanus' romance. I was disappointed by it. It's not, for me, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, we need, like, not safe for work scenes, we need,
It's
like,
like-
Baldur's Gate.
Young out.
No.
Well, to be fair,
I-
if there's a nudity option in the game, there should be nudity in the
It's
game.
for you, apparently.
I felt like his story, it was like we got like half of a story,
Yeah,
and it was more a case of like, so you find this man and he's been like tortured for like a whole year, and no one's like,
In the coolest
You
prison in the
okay?
fucking world.
Like-
so.
there's never any like, I mean, I think like he said to Davrin, oh, I just used my crow techniques, I didn't think about it, the only time I kicked in was when it was time to escape.
yeah.
And it's like, but you're not like, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Like,
Which again, if those like investigate options are in the game, you
Yeah.
could have done that.
and then you get into it, and I think because he's such like a prominent figure in the Crows, and obviously we played as a Crow.
Yeah.
I think there was a bit of a missed opportunity to put some more like
They could have really
history.
delved into like his mental health side of things.
they.
I think they did that quite well with the romance scene.
Oh,
I don't know if it's exclusive to the romance or exclusive to if you save Treviso, because I haven't done
both,
Treviso and not romance
which I
him.
didn't do.
But like there's a scene that we got, I imagine, where you like go into his like psyche,
Yeah.
Oh.
and that was really good.
You didn't get that.
No,
Oh damn.
Kids don't like me.
Oh. So no, okay. So and then the spite thing was
A waste of time. Wasn't used.
and I cannot believe that we didn't do anything about it. That he was
We're
not.
just learning.
I
it.
can't believe that in my second playthrough, where like I let Treviso get blighted and didn't romance him, he was just like, I'm gonna find a way to get rid of Spite because I feel like we've both grown as entities and like he can find his own way.
They're
That,
not-
I
that's
would like-
what I thought. I thought like.
But that doesn't happen in like the ending that is best for Lucanus.
I thought like it would get to a point where Spite would be like, okay, we've done what we needed to do together. Like, in a bit.
But you know what? I'm kind of ride or die for Spite. Spite ships Rook and Lucanus
Yeah.
so hard.
Spite's always like,
However,
I love Rook. I want to
Yeah.
talk to Rook. And it's like, Lucanus doesn't want to talk to me.
if you don't romance Lucanus, Nev and Lucanus get together.
I know.
I think I was going to tell you earlier about the wisps. So there's a line that the Spite says that when Nev's hat comes on or off, I think it's on. Off. Is it off? When Nev's hat comes off, he goes and plays with the wisps.
Good for him.
I think there needed to be more. There needed to be more conversations between a Rook and a Lucanus that they're trying to romance. I expected his romance to basically be the same as Gale's, in which he would be like, we can't be together because like Gale's like, I've got the orb and I don't know what's going to happen, and I expected him to be like, well, I'm possessed by a demon, so I don't really think.
I feel like it is like a big issue for Lucanus, but I feel like it's an issue for. I can't speak for all the companions because I've only romanced Lucanus and Balara, but like.
Yeah, Balara's awful. It's not good, is it?
There's nothing there.
You don't do anything. Nothing happens.
For the developers to be there and be like, these are the spiciest romances to ever be in a Bioware. Like, Mass Effect 1's romances were spicier than this, and they were basically non-existent.
It felt like it was like me.
Dragon Age 1?
Yeah.
Come on.
Flirt option to the point where it was like.
In fact, Knights of the Old Republic had spicier romances than this.
I guess I'll just give in. Like, it never felt like there was. Even to the point where, like, we had, like, a piece of dialogue.
I don't know, I'd say Lucanus, I can see,
Okay.
I can see the...
He hit you with the hand on the wall. That was the first...
No, that was the tension in that scene.
Oh!
Did you get any of that with...
Chris, he, like...
He hit you with that hand on the wall.
Like, he hits the wall like that, and then he goes to kitchen, and he's like, no.
I can't.
And I was like, it's not watching a telenovela.
And then, like, after that, all the companions talk like he dated.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wait.
That's cool.
Because, like, nothing happened. Like, I think that it needed more. There needed to be more conversation.
Yeah.
There needed to be more explanation. Like,
across the board, really, like, not with the romances.
And the whole, like...
True.
He... At that scene... No, it's not that scene. You go into his room and he's like, he's trying to tell you, like, he wants to tell you. You say to him, you're trying to tell him that you love him, and he won't let you say it.
Yeah.
And then you leave, and then you can come back to him, and he says, he's like, oh, there was, like, stuff I wanted to say, but I can't. And then you get pulled through the mirror and you're lost, and they don't know if you're coming back. So people online are like, he never told you that he loved you, and then he thought you were gone. And then when you come back through the mirror, that's why the romance scene happens right then and there, because he's like, oh.
You were going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I read that and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
He's not the character that you thought he was going to be. I guess. Yeah. Which is a lot of the characters I found.
I don't know what it said about me, but when that Mary Kirby one was like, yeah, he's just a loser, he's a mess. I was like...
Good.
That's my thought.
In the, like, romance scene, like, when it fades out of black, he's like lying on Rook's chest, and I literally went, I knew it was a bio.
No, I liked his character. I'm glad I romanced him, but there needed to be more conversation.
Yeah.
As someone who chose to save, is it Mimramphis? Is that what it's called?
Mimramphis,
over what I call Chorizo. He was really cold to me for like 3/4 of the game. Every time I went in his room, he's like, I'm enjoying my cup of coffee right now. I want to be alone.
Yeah, he didn't handle it very well. Which I think, I know it's annoying from like a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, it works.
So in terms of like character, I think it was a good decision.
They should have done more of that.
Yeah.
With other characters.
Yeah, that's the only decision really that you make. That's like
apart from the end stuff.
So yeah, apart from the end game, that's like the most severe consequence.
Yeah.
But I think like the shadow, like if you choose to save Teresa, whatever you want to call it,
Teresa.
The shadow dragons are like, this is all your fault. You're the worst person in the world. If you choose to save Minrathous, the crows are like, you did your best. Thanks for like trying.
They come around.
Yeah.
It really annoyed me actually on my second playthrough, because Treviso gets fucked up so much more badly than Minrathous does.
Because of the blight.
Because of the blight. Like
the town character.
Darktown. If you don't save Darktown, there's a little bit of rubble on the floor, and the Shadow Dragon's shopkeeper's dead. But like, if you don't save Treviso, there's blight everywhere. People are dying left, right, and centre.
Several people are turning into blight.
Quest givers are like dropping dead at any
and I
moment.
think as
You on about
well-
the guy out of that fucking Princess Bride movie?
Yeah.
I think there should have been, again, like with the factions, like, I am a crow. Why would I not go and save
Yeah.
my town? And it never come up, like, never once said, like, oh, I get it.
Do you know what I did like about it though? At the end of the companion's quest, if you didn't help save their place, you don't get to make the choice. They make it.
Oh.
Wait, what?
So, like, you know, at the end of Lucanus' quest for you,
Yeah.
he put Ilario in jail.
Oh, yeah.
If you save Treviso, you can choose between jailing Ilario or just like letting
That
him go
should
and
be
letting
his
him be
choice
in
anyway,
embarrassment.
in my opinion.
So, Davrin, your best.
I love Davrin.
So-
He's very... He just seems like your bro. You know what I mean? Like,
he's the buddy character. He's
Yeah.
the, like, I don't want to say, like,
he is a bit
the
broody.
barrack, but,
He is
like,
a bit broody at times. Especially
I've
when
only
he...
got one criticism of Davrin, and it's that Davrin's story isn't Davrin's story, it's a Sam story.
Yeah, but he's doing it for
He is.
his son.
But like, if you took Asan out of the equation,
You wouldn't have a story.
there isn't
Because
anything
it's-
going on with Davrin.
Mm.
Yeah, but he's very much about... He's saving the Griffins.
Yeah.
Like, he's saving the last of the Griffins and the rest of them, obviously. But, like,
That cutscene.
I think he's got the coolest... One of the coolest, like, stories. Because, like, that... I was invested in that
Yeah.
story. And, like, finding out what the Gloomhowler was and all
When
that shit.
I was playing it, I think I was on my second run when you were doing this,
Mm.
and he just got to the bit where, like, all the Griffins are getting taken, and he was like, "Oh no, not!" And he was like saying all the
Because
Griffins,
I wanted to see all their names. I was like, not...
like rum tape or something.
Yeah.
And he was just like, as they were getting taken, he was like, "Oh no!" And he was naming all the Griffins. I was like, "Bro."
I was invested at that point. I knew their
The
names.
cutscene when you go and see him in his room, and Asan and Manfred are like hounding him for treats, and then
Yeah.
you can be like, "Where's my treat?" And you can join in, and he's like, "Please, please don't." He annoyed me at the start because he hated Lucanus because he was like, "Hate crows," and because I was a crow, I
Yeah.
took that personally. But then I realised he hates Lucanus.
Do you know what's that? When they're like arguing at the table and Lucanus is like, one of them says something and they're like, "Ugh, I can't believe you like that just because you're a crow or like just because you're a warrior." And if you're playing as that faction, they turn to you and go, "Not you."
I realised like slowly through the banter, it was like he doesn't hate the crows, he just hates Lucanus.
Yeah, but you know what? They come best of both later.
That scene
Having their coffee.
after the siege where Lucanus has one job and he can't kill Gillenade, and then you're all sitting around the table, and I'm like, even I'm romancing Lucanus, and I'm like, this is Cullen MK2. Like, Cullen had one job, was to make sure he had an army and left it in a swamp, and now this guy's done the same. He had one job, it was to kill this giant, like 20-foot tall, big ass,
In
like
his defense,
octopus
I'm not a
monster.
fan of Lucanus, but in his defense, he's never killed a god before.
No, but then, and then like you're all around the table, and Davrin's like, we had a shot and we missed it, and Lucanus is like, "So you mean, bro? So you mean?"
You
And then
know-
Davrin
you know
looks
what?
at me and he's like, "Yeah, well, you
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? He's right.
The way I saw it is Davrin was more pissed off with himself.
Yeah.
'Cause he doesn't
Yeah.
have a purpose at that point. Because he's like, why the fuck didn't they die?
Again, I don't
Not
think
ex- not
those
explained.
confrontation
No.
scenes were written very well because there's like a little tiny confrontation at the table, and it's just like, I don't think you should do this. I think I should, and then you can be like, guys, chill out, and they're like, yeah, we're best friends.
That's what I love about,
It's like
Rook. He's just like, I want everyone to get together and get
a little
work
bit
that on well.
more like conflict within the team would have been good.
They would never survive in Dragon Age.
They wouldn't.
I did actually grow to like he was
Davrin,
actually
I love
one. I think he's the buddy to Rook.
I've
Yeah.
heard he's the option to die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
mate,
as
don't.
much
I'm
as
so
I
mad about that.
as much as I love Davrin, in my story, I feel like him dying would have been more fitting because he feels like he should be dead anyway.
Yeah,
At
because
that
of Wooden.
point.
Yeah, and Woodens don't have a long life expectancy
Yeah.
anyway.
He feels like he's lost his purpose at that
Yeah.
point.
It annoyed me so much that Gillenane kills him, he falls into that little hole, and then
You
I
died
was
either.
like, oh, okay, Davrin's dead, shame. And then Asan just like fucking flies past and just decides to nosedive into the blight, and I'm like, why did you do it? I had a cutscene where
She's
Davrin
like-
was like, if anything happens to me
Look
and
after
Nev, can you
Asan.
look after Asan?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, of course I will, anything for my little family that I found.
Yeah.
And then Asan's like, no, I'd rather die.
I don't want to hang out with him never. But okay, so then the next two companions. So we'll go with Emmerich first.
Mhm.
That's the one I got first.
Yeah.
Like I said before, like he is.
Which one?
He is.
Besides
One-
Lucanus is my favourite.
Yeah. Just everything about
He's
him.
a
Like
nice man.
he's a nice guy. Like he's interesting. He's like we've never had anyone from that faction. We've never had a necromancer. So it's interesting to hear his views. And obviously he says like inside the necropolis things work in a certain way, and then when he comes like and comes out with all you guys, it's like, oh, it's really, really different. And obviously that creates like some tension because everyone's like,
I did piss
you're
him
also
off.
weird.
I pissed him off on his like one of his missions where we go around lighting all the candles, and he's like, "Oh, we got to light the candles by these skeletons," and I'm like, because it's a funny option. I was like, "No, I'm gonna say." He's like, "But they're dead," and he's just like,
I pissed him off because I told him that I wanted to be cremated, and he was like,
"Oh, I said that as well." He was not happy with me for like that whole mission, and I was just like, but he's like, "What's the point? They're dead though." Like, it's like so disrespectful.
I don't know. I really did like him. I think he's one of the. His performance is good, but like I think Balara is the one that stands out for performance. But I just think his character overall is the most interesting to me.
Most different than
Yeah.
I've ever had.
It's something new. Yeah.
I think he was the most well written of the companions. as
Yeah,
well.
I would agree.
Well, see what? Because you both went for the same Manfred.
Yeah.
I've seen both.
Storyline. See, I feel like
I
after
absolutely
that,
stand Manfred.
after he becomes the Lich Man thing, it's just kind of very distant, and just kind of you don't really get many interactions with him. And it's like once he does that, it's like he's not there really.
Yeah.
But
And
he's
I'm like-
bringing Manfred as well.
He's locking himself in his room.
But like, I just feel like I did that because I did that as soon as I could, and I was just like, oh, you just don't exist now. Like,
I stand Manfred.
Hmm.
It's hilarious.
I didn't get to know him that well before
Wholesome.
he.
You know, if you save him, he gets magical abilities, and Emmerich starts to train him as an apprentice.
Yeah, and he gets a little
That's
coat.
cute.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, I've heard about the coat, and I heard he talks more.
Yeah.
Which is why they got Matt Mercer. Because I was like, in my paper, I'm like, why did they get Matt Mercer? Like,
Maybe he
what's
just
the point?
wanted to be a little freak and hiss at people. You
He's,
don't know.
he's the Viper as well, 100%.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
100%.
Because the Viper said like one word in passing, and I was like,
I found that out the other day. I meant to tell when I was trying to look for his face.
I already knew. As soon as I had him speak, I was like, that's not right.
Yeah, she did, to be fair.
Last companion,
Is this the last one?
Yeah.
Tosh.
Oh, it is well. Yeah, okay.
I am a stan.
I love Tash.
Hilarious. When I got the mission to go and recruit, I found them quite rude. And I was like, And then after the end of the mission, when you go back to the house and you see the cutscene that involves, what's the mum called? I can't remember her name. I realised.
Tash's
I
mum.
realised
Mrs. Tash.
yeah. I was like, oh, Tash is like,
Essentially a child, yeah.
Yeah.
And then once I,
She's very young.
once
She's naive to the world as well.
once I got that,
Yeah, sorry.
I was like, oh, like that's why they've got an attitude problem, is because they're
Like a stroppy teenager.
yeah. And then once I had that realization, they became like one of my favorite companions. I took them everywhere.
They're just fun.
I even had them in the last mission with me. The banter, the stuff they come out with when you're like. When you and your crew are like having like Netflix night, when you watch the Solas, it's like everybody's in
When they're like
Solas.
sat there, they're like, so they were banging. And I was like, yeah.
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 When they're all like, oh my god, did he just like call my sound love? And then it cuts the Tosh and they just say that.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is like, no, this is what happened, this is what happened. And then the Rook option comes up to be like, but
Balara's there like,
there
what,
were
actually in ancient Elven?
and I just thought like, that's another thing that I think makes these companions kind of shine above some of the other sets. Like, Tosh is really young.
Yeah.
So I felt like my Rook,
Was like a mentor.
they absolutely shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because I was not making good. I am.
I feel like everyone mentors and like, Nev's the same.
Yeah.
But then like again, like, so with Emmerich being a lot older and being from like a different place, he's got a lot of wisdom to impart on Rook. And I just think that kind of like it gives it like it gives like the characters like a different
Different
dynamic.
dynamics. They've got age dynamics going on.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah.
For me, like with Tash, they're my least favourite of the companions. Not necessarily saying that I don't like them, because I really do. but I feel like their writing was the weakest, which is strange because they were written by the same person who wrote Solas, and Solas is really well written. I feel like their gender identity was written really well, which I know that their writer is also non-binary, so that makes sense.
I was well impressed with that, and it's about time a game tackled that and did it well. Like, I don't think I've actually ever seen a game tackle that I've played. Anyway.
But then for their story to be, nobody can tell me who I am, I identify as non-binary, I don't necessarily feel like I have to be male or female. But I do have to pick which culture I need to be part of, and I can only be Riveni or Kunari. I can't be bicultural. It just felt like the cultural part of it could have been written better.
We all chose, was it Rivani?
Yeah.
We all chose Rivani, right?
Yeah.
I felt, for me, that felt like the right thing for them, because they grew up there.
Yeah.
Like, that's where they grew up. That's the culture they properly know. The only time they ever really have to do anything Kunari-wise is when they go see their mum.
Although I will say, I did pick the Kunari one in my second playthrough, because I was just picking
How's
up a bit of everything.
How's that go?
And not a lot changes.
No.
No.
I thought it would be...
The only real difference is that the person who comes to translate the tablet isn't a seer. She's like a Kunari friend of her mum's, who's like, yeah, I worked with your mum, I'll translate this tablet for you. And then Tash is like, well, this has got some like pretty deep Kunari lore in, so I'm going to go back to the Kunari and tell them, and I'm going to try and make them better.
Oh, okay.
So like, I feel like the ends of Tash's stories are good. Tash's character's good, but the way that her story got there, I didn't like. I feel like it could have been handled just a little bit better. Because like, there are people out there who are brought up as part of two cultures.
Yeah.
You don't have to choose one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all of the companions. I think it
Who are your
shines.
top three?
Tash, Lucanis, Davrin. I think Balara's the best performance-wise, but like...
Wait, who's the top Tash?
Oh, you want me to put them in
Yeah,
order?
yeah.
That's tough.
I can do mine.
It's got to be Lucanis,
Yeah.
because that's my man's. Tash, then Davrin.
See, mine's
But
Davrin.
then what about Emric? Because I like Emric. Because like, you can't ask me to choose.
You have to choose three.
It's like
Mine's
picking your children.
Davrin, Tash, Balara.
Okay.
Mine's Lucanis, Emric. Balara.
Okay.
It was a toss-up between Balara and Nev.
I
Nev's
think
at the bottom for me,
this-
if anyone else wants to know.
Get hard into the bottom of it.
Lucan is quite good, close to the bottom for me as well. But
Lucanis
that's
did
because of the
bop
choice
for
I
me,
made.
but...
This game shines in terms of the companions' interactions with each other and the banter they have with each other.
Yeah.
But then I think
There's none of that with Rook.
Rook's relationship with each character kind of pales in comparison in some respects. So it's almost like the polar opposite of Baldur's Gate.
Because all of the conversations are very one-directional, and you can't make those branching like, oh, well, tell me more about that. Like, there's no... Like, it feels like all the companions spend time with each other and grow, which is fantastic. But then their interactions with Rook are just kind of, we need to go do this now.
Yeah.
We need to go do this. We need to go do this. Do you want to come have some fish? Do you want to go to the forest?
I have some coffee.
And it's just like, there's no like actual growth of there is growth of the friendships, but it's not like, it feels rushed.
Yeah.
Like they're powering through telling the story of the character that we're playing as
Yeah.
in regard to the companions.
And like the walking around, like the ambient banter.
Rook doesn't get involved in it,
I spoke.
apart from like twice.
Barely
Once.
speaks, doesn't he? He barely speaks.
Emric was asking Lucanis about being a crow, and he was like, "Oh, you're a crow as well, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then
That's about it. Yeah.
Lucanis was like, "Does Viago know that you're a crow?" And Rook literally goes like, like they don't they mumble something inaudible, and that's like the only time I ever spoke.
My headcanon for why you don't get involved in those conversations much is because you're the one doing the thing, or doing whatever you're doing. Like, you're opening the chests. You're leading them to
But
where
you're
they're
just
going.
walking around.
I
Aren't
know, yeah, I just feel like they've got time to talk, and all they're doing is standing around waiting for you to open a chest.
you? Yeah.
They could have been like, if like we said before, that they removed like the other dialogue wheel that's like the ambient one, like not in a cutscene, like they removed that. They could have at least put Rook in some of the banter.
I agree with them a bit.
But then I guess like you can't control
But then
the
again,
dialogue in the
when
banter, so
your like parent company lays off most of your writers, I guess the dialogue is going to suffer. So.
true.
Mm.
But I do think like they did a good job of making these people feel like they've got stuff going on, and we just kind of
We're also
stumbled across them, and they're doing what they're doing, as opposed to Baldur's Gate where they all stand in the tent,
And I think
like pretend they're reading a book,
Yeah.
have some wine, and then you walk up to them and they're like, "I'm gonna tell you everything that's ever happened to me. It started the moment I was born."
I've heard the take where, like, why would you be helping your companions sort out their own personal shiz when there's a big, world-ending thing? And
But
If
that's
you
it,
don't,
yeah,
then you
that's
don't get a
literally
good
that.
ending.
Yeah, like,
they explain it like they literally say like you want them at their best, like
Yeah.
and I get that, like you want your team to be fully on the task and not have something else on the
I
mind.
do, but then I think some people's stories feel very relevant to what's happening, and other people don't. Like Harding stuff, it's so far removed.
As well, I feel.
In not Orzammar, it's literally not going to make any difference to you what's happening there. So, like, you know what I mean? If they're going for that stance, if they're going for that, we've all got to become better as people because otherwise we're not going to beat the gods, then everyone's story should have been so tightly woven in with what was happening with the gods.
To be fair, it kind of is. We just didn't see it.
I guess.
Because if you don't do the companion quests in the last mission, it does come back to one.
It gets in the way.
Instead of it being that big like thing, it's Overwatch lady
That
and
like
her, like,
robot.
bow
Oh, damn.
thing. Instead of just being like a nameless Venatori mage, it's the mage from Nev's story.
That
Okay.
makes
So, like,
so much sense.
It,
I love that.
It does come into it,
Can't
but
believe I
because
didn't do
we're
that.
completionists, we didn't see it.
We did see it, fair enough.
Yeah. I have heard the many different permutations of like what if you don't do faction quests or don't do all these things like that can change the ending massively. Like everyone can die, including Rook.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me because like I don't know, like I feel at the end of that why would Rook
I'll
die?
get into that later.
Yeah, well, okay. Fair enough.
So the next one I had on the list was like supporting NPCs. So we talked a little bit about
Yeah, we
like,
talked a bit about them.
leaders.
What? Which ones?
All of them.
Viper.
I'm not even kidding, all of them. I think the only ones that I wouldn't smash are Strife, just because he's too old.
Irilyn.
And Irilyn, because
Yeah.
I didn't really like her voice acting. But apart from that, yeah, all of them. Why did every faction get
Viper's
two?
so
and then
beautiful.
the Lords of Fortune only got Isabella.
Because Isabella's that big of a like. She's got that big of an aura. She doesn't need it.
Chris is like, that's my wife.
The two,
Pirates only
the
have
two for the
one
Lords of
leader.
Fortune, Isabella and her hat.
Yeah.
We gotta give a special mention
The
to
cameos.
Mr. Hear Me Out himself,
Vorgoth one.
Borgoth.
Oh no.
Wood.
The heart wants what the heart wants. That's all I'm saying. But no, I like the faction leaders. I think like, especially like Viago and Taya,
Yeah.
like such married couple energy. Every time
Yeah.
you walked up to a conversation they were having, it was like mad lads. Like what they
Yeah.
compare it to, mum and dad's. Like
My only issue with the faction leaders is the same as the companions. There is no dialogue options to get to know them better. Most of them are from the Tubinta Knights book or the comics. And I feel like the game assumes that people have read those. Where, for a game that's clearly aimed at bringing new players into the franchise, that was a baffling choice.
when you do a lot like when Lario throws that party
Yeah.
and you like sneak in and then you're fighting him and all the talents from the balcony and
Yes,
Viago's like, Rook, don't embarrass house to read that. And you get hit, he's like, Rook, what are you doing? Everyone's watching. But then again, like, you would expect, like, because of the ambient dialogue and how the other crows talk about it when you come back,
Yeah.
they kind of, like, insinuate, like, he was, like, a father figure to you. and then he's just like, "Oh, you're back," and you're like, "Yeah, I'm back."
Yeah.
And then he's like,
Okay.
"Cool,"
Yeah.
and then you never really like speak to him again. And I feel like those little bits of the backstory.
Your like relationship with Bioware is entirely told by other people.
Yeah. Because there's this one crow, and he's like, it's a lady. She's like,
Is that only if you're a crow?
he's been so miserable
Yeah.
since you've been gone. Like he won't admit it, but he's really missed you. And then you come back and you're
And
like,
then Taya's like, he's so glad that you're
I
back.
have
Yeah.
returned, father, and he's just like,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
What's the truth then? Do you love me or not? Like,
I'd have liked to have found out more about Vorgoth.
agreed.
Yeah. Like, what's his deal?
Nobody knows.
That's the point.
Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
I feel like that whole place is shrouded in mystery.
You have some ambient dialogue with Emmerich, and somebody asks him like, "What is he?" And he's like, "Nobody knows.
Yeah.
He just showed up at the necropolis."
Yeah, like I think
It's just here.
the mystery of the whole necropolis area and like all the characters is like part of it, because like when you make Emmerich into a lich, you don't get to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone goes in with him with a knife, come out with the knife, and he comes out as a lich. Like you don't get to see what happens. So I think that's.
I don't know what, but it cracks me up that Vorgoth hangs around with that lady. I can't remember her name. Is it
Like Mina or
I
something.
like it.
Yeah,
She's
I
cool.
just, it's really
Festive.
it's like she's just a normal woman,
Yeah.
and then he's just like this floating like cloak
Entity.
Yes, like- and like
Maybe.
work bestie.
Maybe they're fucking.
Maybe, you know what?
It's like that
Maybe.
meme that's like, work will really have you best friends with a 60-year-old man.
It's like that. I really like the factions. I like most of the factions leader. I actually thought the factions felt relevant.
Yes.
I have beef with one of the factions,
Okay.
the Shadow Dragons,
Mm.
because
Who'd you choose?
Not the Shadow Dragon.
not the Shadow Dragons, and that's why I've got beef.
Wait, did you not get to choose
No,
the leader?
no, because if you
No.
Would
don't,
you have chose?
when I
the
played
lady
it the second
and
time, I
Dorian.
chose Maybaris because she was.
Yeah, I
the more,
chose
like-
her. Dorian was too much of a wild card for me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, no.
The reason I don't like the Shadow Dragons is because if you save Treviso, they literally disappear.
I mean,
Because they blame you, and it's like, right. But like, so
no,
the
I
Shadow
suppose
Dragons.
it's because the other people get in charge, don't they?
Yeah, but they still do that if you like.
For
They
what?
still assassinate the Archon if you side with if you save the Shadow Dragons.
Yeah, true.
So like, Tarquin's still alive. The Viper's blighted, but he's still alive. Dorian and May are still there,
My mum's.
but you don't get the quests from Dorian and May. Like, you don't get any further interaction with them. They're just
See,
completely
I didn't
closed
know
off.
that until we were after he finished the game. He was asking me all these questions, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Who did you choose in the Shadow Dragons?" And I'm just like, "What?"
And I'm just like, for
Do you not get anything like that for
after
Dorizo or whatever they're called?
no,
No.
all of the crow stuff is still in the game if you blight
The
Treviso.
crows don't take
Yeah, they
it
should
It's that.
personally.
It's done better for the crows because if you don't save Treviso, their quests actually they're still there, but they change.
Yeah. Right. So then, from like all the hero characters and the companions, let's turn to the antagonists.
Okay.
So okay, let's go for like Algernon and Gillenade first.
Very cool.
I thought they were really interesting.
Mm.
The scariest villains Dragon Age ever had.
I would have liked to have seen more of Algernon. I feel like they did that like video game trope where they were
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, there's two villains, we're gonna focus all of our energy on one, and then the other one's worse, so he'll come in at the end and like
I feel like the one Algernon just kind of was doing his own background thing where he let Gillenade deal with the riffraff of our little gang,
yeah.
and then while he was doing stuff in the background, that's my take on it. But like,
Because
she's the
hands-on one. She's the
Yeah.
one that makes like the
Yeah.
creatures.
I would have liked to have seen a bit more about what they were like during the ancient elven times.
Yeah.
I feel like because the focus was on Solas,
Yeah.
we saw what he was doing to fight them, but we never really saw what they were doing.
Yeah.
yeah,
She was
terrifying.
horrific. Like her character design.
Good character.
No, yeah, it's a good character design, but it's she's nasty.
It's
Like,
one of the like,
she's just it's all
weirdest
her like
looking.
it's all her like tentacles and her weird bits like
But it
And like
worked
her
as a
eye and
villain.
the teeth.
Worked as yeah, I didn't like that.
no.
That I only noticed that like towards the end. I was like, oh no.
I do
her
agree.
battle was good as well.
With
the hit,
the,
when you have
like,
to free all the
dragon.
rest of the people. Oh, fuck the dragons. Too many fucking dragon fights. I
Yeah.
know we've gone past that whole bit of stuff, but too many dragon fights.
Yeah.
They're all the fucking same, apart
Yeah.
from the fucking lightning one, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's the only one that's different.
Previous Dragon Age games, none.
No,
Dragon
Dragon
Age.
Age.
But
Yeah.
they overdid it with
Too
the dragons now. There's too many dragons. At least if you're going to have dragon boss fights, make them different type of
Yeah.
boss fights. Don't give it the same
And
fight.
then it was a bit of a joke that it was like, we gotta kill the gods,
The gods.
archdemon, and then they'll be vulnerable, and then we can kill them, and then we killed their dragon, and then they were like, oh yeah, but I've got a secondary dragon, and then we killed the secondary dragon, and then Algernon was like, but I got a third dragon. It's
Yeah.
like, stop with the dragon
I
fight.
did like the archdemon fight at White's Help.
Mm.
I like that. That was different. And
Yeah.
with the Hydra head thing going on.
Yeah.
I like that. That was probably the most interesting boss fight in the whole game.
Yeah.
I liked it, like, from a lore standpoint as well, because Tash was just like, what? That's not supposed to happen. Like that. And, like, it really messed them up.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing Tash's reaction to that.
It's the shock that something's new. Right, I haven't seen it before.
When they're all like, when they realise that she's just a cloud, and then
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
no matter who you got with him, they're like, how is Lucanus going to kill a cloud? Like, what is he going to do?
Yeah.
And then if you've got him, he's like, Rook, what am I going to do?
That whole mission, the White Hat mission, one of the coolest missions ever in
Yeah.
Dragon Age, one of the coolest looking missions, just like as a set piece, that whole fucking time was
I
just
do think it was a
alive.
mistake that they showed that in marketing.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice because I didn't watch the marketing.
Yeah.
So
I
I didn't
think
get
it
any of
should
that.
have
And I,
been-
with good reason.
Yeah.
I made the right choice there.
I think they could have had the same sort of, not obviously not to the same extent, because obviously it's the end of the game, but when you have to choose who to send on what part of which mission, I feel like every big sort of mission should have had that to some extent.
I have
Yeah.
a question about that. You know how it's like, oh, this needs this kind of person. If you don't do their companion quest,
They can still die.
no, I know, but does that information come up? Because I feel like I've heard of people on podcasts and stuff who got everybody killed. Now I feel that information given to you is very obvious. Like, can you imagine sending like Davrin to deal with the ward thing? Like, what was he gonna do? People, I don't
Okay,
understand.
like,
I don't understand how people get their people killed so much. Like, especially as someone who's killed everybody. I
Yeah.
don't understand how that happens. Unless they can still die if you don't do their quest.
they
But you
can.
put them in the right place. So then maybe that's it. I don't know. Anyway. Carry
So
on.
yeah, so the two elven gods.
I think they were cool. Very good villains.
I'd have liked to have heard more about all the other Elven gods.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
The game doesn't do a very good job of explaining why they're not around.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, they've linked their souls to the Archdemon, whatever. But when you kill Gillinea's Archdemon, you don't kill Gillinean. So where are the other ones?
Mm.
Wouldn't they be still behind Solas's prison?
No, because you were in Solas's prison.
Mm.
Maybe we just didn't see it. They were in a different
just
corner.
chilling.
Yeah.
I like Solas.
I was gonna say, Solas is like,
He's not really a villain, but he's kind of like a anti-hero.
He's a trickster god.
he's
but,
the
like,
hero in his own story. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That is literally his MO. He is the hero of his own mind.
He is trying to make up for mistakes that he's made. And he's going about it in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
But at the end, I made him actually make up for your mistakes, and he did.
Yeah, like, I feel like that ending is probably the best ending in terms of his character development, because it's like you have to make him kind of come to terms with what he actually did
Yeah.
and
You literally
choose
you
to
get
move on from it.
you get his ex-missus out, and
Yeah.
you're like, she's like, "Hey, what you doing?"
I do like the final scene is like, you are essentially staging an intervention.
Yeah, literally. You get his ex-missus to come and go,
You
"Babe,
get
what
like
you doing?"
his ex-bestie, his
Stop it.
ex-girlfriend, and Rook, just like, come on.
Do better.
That could absolutely never be me, because I was so mad. Like, after obviously he get the big reveal, he's like, oh, Varric's been dead all this time, even though we noticed like from the start of the game. So that wasn't a shock to
Yes.
us.
I would.
But
I heard your theory before I necessarily noticed. I did think it was weird,
Yeah.
but I do wonder if I hadn't ever been told that theory, whether I would have got it
Yeah.
And as early as I did.
I literally got it as soon as we got to the lighthouse. Harding walked in and was talking to Rook, and Varric was Varric, her like best friend of like 10 years, was like lying on a bed. She didn't interact with him once, and I was like, he's dead. He's not there.
After Jake said that to me, I was like, you're right. And then I came along with MK Part 2 after I watched all the Solas memories. And there was someone said something like, he can appear as other people.
Yeah.
And then I was like, he's Varric. And I messaged you because like every time you do something, you go to Varric and he's like, oh, you've got this, Rook. Like, this is what I think you should do. And then it's got the same kind of patterns when you go into, like, you meditate and you speak to Solas and he's like, well, I think you should do this. And I chose violence from the start. Like, anytime I got to speak to Solas, I was like, I don't trust you. You're a liar. I'm not interested in your help. And then that's what made me think, like, having him, he knows you won't necessarily trust him, but you 100% trust Varric. And then when I started the game again at the very start, it's so obvious because he's like, he mentions Varric and it's almost like he's going to apologise.
Yeah, and then you see him make the decision in real time.
Rook says like, oh, he's really injured because of you. And then he's like, oh, and you can literally see him be like, this is how I play Rook. Yeah. So I was mad about that, and then he was like, oh, and also, by the way, I'm trapping you in a little prison, haha, and then that annoyed me even more. And then I got out, and all these people around this, like, war table, the council are like, well, I think we could fix Solas, and I'm like, not interested. So as soon as the option when he's like, I don't want to fight you, Rook, I was like, I wouldn't want to fight you now. Choose, like, the evil option, and I'm just like...
When you're, like, discussing what to do with him, like right at the end when you're in that little room, and you're like, oh, we could just kill him, and then someone's like, we could use the little fake dagger we made to trick him, and then
that work?
Yeah, and then the Inquisitor's like,
idiot, isn't it?
We could save him for me.
It was the Mathal mission. I went to speak to Mathal, and she gave me one piece of attitude, and I literally chose that. You're not going to help us. And then, like, she turned to a dragon and I had to fight her. And he was messaging me and he was like, did you talk her down then? And I was like, what?
I talked her down. First time, no issues.
I was just like, you're not going to help me then? She was like, probably not, no. And I was like, well, this is kind of like your problem. She's like, are you saying I was wrong? I was like, no, I'm just saying, like, you could just help us fix it, innit? Because you were going to help Solas and then you didn't. And then, like, now he's trying to fix it badly. And, like, they killed you, so you deserve revenge. And she was like, I do. Yeah, I will help you.
I didn't even try. That thought didn't even cross. When I'm playing an RPG, I can only choose violence.
I love how, like, most people who didn't realise that Varric was dead just thought he was being a lazy prick and just lied a bit.
They're like, when's Varric going to get out of the
like, I know you're injured, but, like, bro, get the fuck up, man. What are you doing?
It was like in like even the big like scenes with everyone around the table. Like he would walk. It was
very obvious there,
and like no one would even like none of the characters even like turn to look at him or their eyes would have moved. And then so once you said it to me, I was like, this is so obvious. But it's still like, see, like when Solas says it, it's just like how. This egg is disrespecting me. It's disrespecting my man Varric, and I had to choose violence. But everyone, you both chose the same ending.
Yeah.
I chose the violence ending. Nathan hasn't finished yet.
I don't think that. I thought the end of the game was it was the best end, like
for everybody, really.
End mission that Bioware have done since Mass Effect 2.
Yeah,
because it was the end mission. Because it was the end mission of Mass Effect 2. Because Dragon Age The Veilguard is just Mass Effect 2 in another skin, but
which isn't bad.
It is though. And then what was it? The actual ending makes no sense whatsoever unless you choose the Mythal ending. Because in that ending, Solas gives you the dagger. He like cuts his hand to bind himself to the veil and gives you the dagger. As if to say, like, now it's your job to keep the veil safe. If you trick him with a fake dagger, he takes the fake dagger, so that's fine.
What a dick.
If you attack him, you like push the real dagger into his chest and then like yeet him into the fade, but the
But
dagger
it
he can
needs-
just use to get out again.
So hang on. So we've got the dagger now. I can't remember where we took it. Did we take the dagger?
He like gives you the dagger
Oh, so you can't get out now.
unless you attacked him.
So we made the best decision because he can't get out now. He's bound to the fucking thing to keep it up. But he
Well,
can't
the
get.
best decision is to have an Inquisitor who romanced him.
I didn't have that because no.
Because then he's like, we're going to both work to keep the world safe. And it's like, okay.
Good luck now.
Wisdom was a waste of time in this game.
Yeah.
I romance Cullen, so that's not my business. But yeah, and then obviously, so the endings, you get like a little PowerPoint presentation almost that tells you basically, I'm not even going to say the fate of your people because it's...
You know what games like this need to start doing instead of giving me a little piece of art telling them what to do? Give me a fucking cutscene. Show
Well-
me.
Well, I didn't like the epilogue because it was basically, I felt like it was very low effort. But then I thought about it, and because when they did Origins had a really, really detailed epilogue.
Yeah, I remember
And
it.
then
It was
it's been
long.
contradicted so many times in the next games because Bioware need to hire someone to actually
A law
keep
master.
track of what they've written.
Jake. Jake will
Um,
do it.
just hire anyone to do that job. So then in 2 didn't really have one at all. Inquisition had one, but it was like a bit more. But then like nothing came of the stuff in Inquisitions either. So I get why they've done it, but I just don't like it.
I think with Inquisition they planned for this game to come out a lot earlier than it did.
I think my biggest gripe with Veilguard is it feels like I've missed a game between Inquisition and Veilguard.
See, I feel the opposite. As someone who recently tried to play
Tried.
Inquisition again, I feel like it very much can. And I watched, and you guys told me basically what happened. I feel like it very much continues off from
It
that.
does continue from it, but the opening of Veilguard feels like the end of a game that I never got to play.
Okay.
How did you guys feel like the Inquisitor needed to be included?
Yes, but not in the way that they did.
There's no love lost between me and the Inquisitor, so I put barely any effort into making my
Making
Inquisitor.
it was awful because you couldn't get the same hairstyle or anything from.
I really didn't like
Previous
this
one.
game's character creator. It took me
I
so
liked it.
long to get a Rook that I was happy with. Like, I really don't like. I don't like
Once you lean into the cartoonist look,
yeah.
it's a lot easier to make a decent looking
Yeah.
character. If you try and make it realistic, it does not work.
Yeah, but again, that's like, it's not really.
I spent 2 hours in that character.
That's like my personal issue because I know a lot of people really like it and they really like all the different sliders and stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to see like 10 heads and be like, that's the one I want. Like, this is the one I want.
Yeah.
So when it got to the
You're
Inquisitor,
not a face molder kind of girl.
when it got to the Inquisitor, I was literally like, I'm just going to choose this, let's go. So then when I had the cutscene when Morrigan's like, look who's here to see you, and the Inquisitor walked in, I was like, yeah, I got that meme, like the Pulp Fiction meme, like, and then it's only when they were like, the Inquisitor's here, I was like, oh damn
It
yeah.
doesn't really help as well that like I know that the hairstyles in Inquisition were absolute dog shit,
Yeah,
but like
it's
none of the Veilguard hairstyles even closely
See,
resemble them.
For mine, he had like slick back hair, so I just gave him long hair.
Yeah.
It's like time has passed. He's grown his hair.
Yeah.
Got a long beard. you
I
know
just
what I'm
needed like clown blush because that's what my Inquisitor looked like. Because they're like the
Quite green.
makeup like was really like weird in Inquisition. So you'd make the character and the character creator, you'd be like, she looks good, and
Yeah.
then you'd get into the natural light.
They added like different light
I
themes for
love
this, so that was such a good idea.
The main thing I didn't like about the Inquisitor's appearance is that it all boiled down to you just meeting up with them in a pub and being like, this is fucked, innit? Yeah.
How's it going in the north?
I think this is a good time to move into the secret ending, because seeing this secret ending is why earlier when you were like, this is a soft reboot, I was like, no, this is the end.
Yeah.
Because I think
It's like a hard reboot.
if it follows I'll let you explain what the secret ending is in a minute. If it follows what's going on with the secret ending and we're literally going so far across the sea to where nothing else is really going to matter, this one will be the reboot.
Yeah.
So through the game,
Yeah.
you had a chance to find these 3
Orbs.
circle
Yeah.
orb
Where the
things.
fuck were they?
One of them was
Arlington Forest.
in the forest.
Yeah,
One
but
of
when?
the like
You know when you go truffle hunting and you come to a place with a chest in the middle and it's got all the water
and you
like
have to get the
around it?
beams to point towards the middle and then it makes a bridge.
Oh yeah, I'll get with that. I can be asked.
Oh,
But one of
that
them was
one.
on there.
Yeah. One
One
of
of
them's
them's where
in
you
the
kill-
dragon.
Yeah.
Um,
The like undead dragon that sends you hate mail when you kill it.
Yeah.
it's like Klein Angle
Yeah.
over again.
And then the other one's in the crossroads after one of the
Okay.
things that
It's when you kill the dragon that the
Yeah.
the gods have got hiding in the crossroads
Yeah.
because they've got 4 dragons. Silly me, I forgot about the 4th dragon. That's the
Too
one
many dragons.
I initially missed because you have to walk up the stairs and then the
it's
caretaker
like off to
like
the side.
appears
Yeah.
on a boat. So I just got on the boat and left. But then the second time around, when I realised that's the one I missed, I found it. So you find 3 of them, and every time you find one, like audio plays.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you've found me, but I'm not going to say anything to you yet. And you're like, who's that? And they're like, none of your business. Bye.
They're like, it's too early yet. We'll talk to you
Yeah.
later. And you find the next one, and they're like, you're going to talk to us now? And they're like,
No.
no. So go on, hit us with
so,
the
like,
door.
it was either Inquisition or 2, there's some like codex entries about the executors who live across the sea. And they're this like shadowy people that like they've been seen like rarely. They've got like capes that obscure like the whole bodies and whatever. No one really knows what's going on with them, apart from the fact that they live over the sea. No one's ever been like across the sea. And there's like a codex entry you can get from Emmerich that explains that. But again, that should have been dialogue.
What did they say?
It was just like, oh yeah, like there's been some people who've come to trade on like the one coast, but like every time we've tried to go over there, it's just like not happened.
Oh.
And then there's like the west coast as a continent that everyone who goes there goes crazy, and people say that it's made out of like glass or whatever.
Oh.
So I don't know
Okay.
what's going on with that. And then obviously there's where the Kunari come from as well. And then there's a lot of lore revealed that like they were fleeing something called like a devouring storm or something. I can't remember what the exact name was. So yeah, these like executors, it's revealed in this post-credit scene, are basically the Illuminati, which people aren't very happy about.
You know what? I'm oblivious to this because I didn't know.
So like you get like a little montage of like the important moments in Dragon Age history, like the Magisters accidentally unleashing the Blight, Loghain in Origins, and then like it's like, oh yeah, we've guided, and then like one of them will like appear behind Loghain, like
So they've just been like,
yeah. It's not that they forced Loghain to do it, it's just that because they were there,
Nudging
he
him in
made
that
the
direction.
choice.
Yeah.
Like he still made the choice. It don't take the choice away from him. His
yeah,
reasons for making the choice are still there.
yeah.
But like they could have assassinated, like King Marek got lost at sea, like Alistair's dad. They could have been the ones who caused him to get lost at sea, which led to Kaelin taking the throne, which led to him becoming buddy with Orlais and pissing Loghain off. Like,
So all these cause big repercussions.
yes, because they now want to do something. They're like coming.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I think. Like this, especially with these people coming in, the what they call the executors.
Yeah.
Like they're so niche. We know nothing about them.
Yeah.
They're literally on the other side of the map. That is a fresh start
it
in
is.
canon.
The problem with Dragon Age is it reinvents itself too many times.
But
That
then if they
every
start doing
time a
that,
new
people are
game
getting
comes out,
mad because that's what they do.
but every time a new game comes out, it alienates people because it's not what was before.
Yeah.
So what it
Agreed.
really needs to do, and like, stop making games that are a response to the previous game. If you get criticism, incorporate that criticism into what was good about the past game. Don't
Instead
just
of like
think,
canning it completely.
Yeah. like, if they made a game that had the good stuff from Veilguard with the lore and the storytelling of Inquisition and Origins 2, it would be the perfect Dragon Age game.
I enjoyed this one.
I did enjoy it. Like, I'd rate
This is
it.
my favourite one.
I would rate it an 8 out of 10. And
We rated it. I'll give it an 8.
it's probably my favourite
It's the most.
besides two.
It's the easiest to replay. I
Yeah.
think.
It's my favourite besides two, for sure. But, like, my issues
one?
with it, I do like one,
Yeah, we're not
but
getting
it's
into this, 'cause
it's
that's
not
too long.
aged well.
One's great. Anyway.
Two's my favourite, then it's one, then it's Veilguard. Then
One's like a really
Inquisition.
stinky blue cheese that I really like the taste of, but it's so pungent that I can rarely eat it.
1, Veilguard. 2, Inquisition. Inquisition's awful. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan.
Yes, it's the one game of the year which backs the fuck out of me.
So again, question from the start: did it meet your expectations?
Yes and no.
Yes, it exceeded mine,
Okay.
but I didn't have much.
It exceeded my expectations in a lot of areas, but where it didn't meet my expectations, it's really disappointed me.
Okay.
But it's difficult because, in terms of my Dragon Age expectations, it exceeded them. In terms of my RPG expectations after playing Baldur's Gate 3, it missed the mark. I would like something in between.
I'm the other way around. I'm like, it's a fantastic game. It's probably one of my favourite games I've played in a very long time. As a Bioware game and a Dragon Age game, I don't think it's that great.
I would agree with that. It's
Yeah.
a good game. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a great Bioware / Dragon Age.
It's
game.
a good action RPG, like God of War is an action RPG.
Yeah,
It's an action game with RPG elements.
Yeah.
Like every game is, but this has a bit more RPG elements because of its background. But it's a very good action game with RPG. It reminds me of Final Fantasy 16.
Okay.
and it's disappointing for me that the thing I was most excited for is going to all these places in the world that we've never seen before, we've only heard of. And I think visually they were stunning, but there was no meat to them.
Yeah.
We didn't really get to learn anything unless you spent ages reading the codex.
It's a very throwaway story.
Yeah.
This is very much what I would imagine is a filler episode in a show.
Yeah.
Where this is the fun romp of a story where you're going around with your mates and you got really good companions and you're fighting a bad guy. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I do think if I didn't like the companions so much, my opinion of the game would be a
100%.
lot lower.
Oh yeah.
If I didn't like the combat a decent amount, if the companions really didn't resonate with me, then I would think the story, other than Solas, is weak.
Yeah.
But it felt like a game. It's 5 different games in one in terms of how it's put together.
Well, there you go. Then guys, a lot of opinions going on here.
But
2
it
hours
is
of
a
opinions.
great game, and I would recommend playing it.
It's very good.
Yeah,
I
I
think-
know full well that the only reason I'm annoyed is because I'm so much of a nerd for the lore of Dragon Age.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is its
You
weakest
never have
part.
guessed. No, I agree with you there. I agree. It's a very good game. I highly recommend it. Yeah. It's been. I feel like it should at least be in the RPG category for Game Awards, but it's not. And we'll talk about that when we do our next Game Awards predictions podcast, which I'm looking forward to.
I want one for
It's going to be
it.
very interesting this year. But yeah, is that everything? All the topics covered. In
Yeah.
this whole 2
I've
hour.
got it.
I was gonna say, no, I'm sure we could make another 2 hours, but let's end it here.
Let's not. I need to eat.
The codex could have been better organised.
I never read that once. Never once. It came up with the little star saying it's got stuff to do. I'm like, never going into this menu. Right. Thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you in the next one with the Game Awards predictions. Bye.
Bye.